Your name, you're going to say why you want to get elected, you're going to say your name again, and it's going to take 20 seconds, not 3 minutes.
Who gets to stand up?
You do.
Whoever's running.
Whoever is at the precinct caucus will get a vote on that.
You might have, yes.
Anybody who attends can run?
Who moderates? Okay, your precinct committee person who's running the caucus is moderating. There might be 50 people in the room, give or take, by a lot actually. It might be 20 or 100. If there's 50, you might have a dozen people who are interested in running because, you know, this is a Tea Party year. People are far more informed this year than they have been in the past, and they're going to want to be delegates. A lot of them are seeing little articles about going to caucus and being delegates, but they didn't attend the class. They don't have the flyer, and they don't know that they need to jump up first. So John's going to jump up first because he's going to remember this. He's just going to be like, waiting, is it time? Okay. Now, can you see how these suggestions sound silly, but if you put them all together, you are totally going to win. Okay. Okay. Now, each precinct, this changes a lot depending on where you are in the state. Where I live, it's only 2 or 3 delegates that we elect per precinct. So I'm going to use that as a rule of thumb. For every delegate that we elect, we also elect an alternate, which means the 2 people with the biggest votes from the audience get the delegate spots, and the 2 people with the next 2 highest number of votes get the alternate spots.
I was an alternate.
Were you? Did you go to your county assembly?
I did.
Very good, thank you. That in the back? Okay. I have an interesting alternate story for you. And that's going to lead into the calendar story. Okay. Alternate is not a loser title, okay? When you are an alternate...
I can put that on my resume.
You can. And in 2008, I was an alternate to county assembly. Okay, that's one more cool thing. All right. The alternates get to go to county assembly just like the delegates do. They get to hobnob with every single political person who's there. They get to watch the entire election process. They get to see visually for themselves how does it work when 3 different people are running against each other for one county commissioner slot. They're going to watch the votes cast, and this person got 18%, and this person got 42%. It's all going to become more familiar to you as you're in the audience at county assembly. And every delegate who fails to show up that day gets replaced by an alternate. The alternate gets moved up to the voting delegate position, and so that's another cool thing about being an alternate. You still might get to do the voting.
Which I did.
Did you? Very good. Okay. Last year at the state convention in Broomfield, every single alternate who bothered to come to Broomfield from all over the state got moved up to be a voting delegate. Every one. Which means if there were governors and senators running, they got to cast votes for them. Now, how does this happen? All right, skip over to the second page. It says Neighborhood Precinct Caucus. Bring your calendar. Does everybody see those 3 words right under the headline? Okay. All those folks who came to the state convention. You don't have them. Okay, I ran out, and I will email them to you. Get them to me after the class.
Did you get one?
All right, I'll email them to you. Okay. You need to bring your calendar to caucus, and here's why. When it's time to sign up to be a delegate to go to county assembly, you need to open your calendar and make sure you're free that day. It's a date in April. It's going to vary county to county. But there's no point in competing for delegate if you can't attend. And then when you go to county assembly, and you're competing to go to the congressional assembly, the state rep assembly, the state senator assembly, and the judicial assembly, and the state convention, there is no point in competing to be a delegate to go to those if you're going to a wedding that day. So last year, the state convention was on Memorial Day weekend. People had graduations, they had weddings, they had vacations, and all of that was written down on their calendar at home. And so when they got elected to be a delegate, they went home, and Frank said, "Honey, I'm going to the big show." And she said, "No, you're not. You're going to Todd's wedding." And guess who won? Todd's wedding won. Right? So all these words individually look silly, but they all mean something. Yes?
Have those dates been chosen yet?
May 22nd for the state convention, also referred to as the state assembly. Yes.
Because I've been trying to find this online to put a timeline. And I can't, I know caucus.
Right.
And I know election day.
A lot of the other dates have not been chosen yet.
The county assemblies, I'm not sure they've been set for all counties.
Right. So the state assembly for sure.
Yeah.
And the other, stay in touch with your county GOP.
Yeah, it will be in April,
Right.
but the exact date, it might vary from county to county whether or not it's been set.
Which county do you live in? Boulder, okay. I promise you there is a Boulder County GOP. Okay, those are the folks who actually are setting the dates, or they're intimately involved in setting the
Now,
dates.
I have another question for you, if you
Yes.
don't mind.
Yes.
Don't hate me. The Democrats, are theirs set on the same date, or are they different?
Oh, they will have the same day for caucus, but then for the other meetings, they will not have the same dates.
So you have to kind of go in monthly and find out when theirs are.
Right. Right. Or if you wait a while, you can Google it. Eventually they'll have it written down, and it'll be on their county party website.
I belong to an organization that we try not to differentiate, so I have to have both.
Right. And you could even call like a congressman and say, when's the next congressional assembly?
Okay.
And they wouldn't ask, like, what party are you from?
I was going to tell Liz something I can tell my picture.
Sure. Okay. All right, back to the original page. So now we know it's okay to be an alternate, and congratulations if you become an alternate, because you still get to have the entire experience. Hey, if you have a teenager who's 17 years old, and they're going to be 18 prior to Election Day next November, they get to come to caucus, and they get to be a delegate if they can manage to get themselves elected, as long as you're 18 by Election Day. Okay, what else takes place at caucus? We do the straw poll, we elect the precinct committee people, we elect the delegates. Let me go back to precinct people for one moment. If you think you might like to be a precinct committee person, it is best if you are an outgoing person who has absolutely no fear at talking to strangers, because you will be phoning strangers, knocking on strangers' doors, and just often interacting with strangers. So if you have trepidation about that, please don't go any further in your mind about getting elected as a precinct chairman. There are so many rules in activism, everything from graphic designers to computer geeks. You do not have to fit your square peg into a round hole. Let us just find the right role for you, and don't take on something that doesn't fit your personality style. Especially regarding precinct chairman, if you are a grumpy person who tends to see the glass half full, I'm trying to be delicate here. You're not going to convince people to join your team and campaign, okay? That is a different personality style. So if you're grumpy, skip the chairman thing and be the delegate instead, because all a delegate has to do is be well informed and show up on time. A delegate doesn't need to be happy and peppy. So when you're at caucus, if you're grumpy-ish or shy and you never speak, just come out of your shell for like 2 hours. If you can do the whole 2 hours, I commend you. Have a drink beforehand if you need to. And then just like smile, okay? Smiles like this. And don't say anything negative. Everything you're about to say against Bill Ritter, say it positive towards the governor candidate from your side. And everything you're about to complain about Obama, phrase it in a way like, I want to help our country by doing this instead. Okay? Just be like optimistic for 2 hours, you'll get elected as a delegate, and then you never have to be happy again. Okay. Next, also at caucus we discuss political issues and we discuss candidates, and it's okay to stand up and say, my favorite Secretary of State candidate is Scott Gessler. You can even bring his literature and pass it out if you want to. This is a political meeting, this is what we do. To give you an idea of the caucus that took place in my house in February '06. There were about 9 of us there, and the interesting race coming up in the county was the sheriff race. We had Dave Weaver versus John Anderson, and most of us knew who these two guys were. The former sheriff, who had been sheriff for 20-some-odd years, lived in my precinct and came to my caucus. There was a husband and wife police officer couple who came to my caucus. And Frida Poundstone lived in my neighborhood and came to my caucus. Has anyone ever heard of Frida Poundstone?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. If you took a political experience and multiplied it by the number of years in politics, Frida would win in Colorado.
Hands
And,
down.
Yeah. It's very intimidating to have Frida come to your caucus. And I was like a brand new caucus volunteer, and I'm like, okay, now's the time that we vote. And Frida's like just sitting there telling us what to do because I'm way too slow and I didn't